computers that with that mute, but the microphone button that's in the bottom left-hand corner, just so we don't have a lot of background noise. We will have a time for questions towards the end. So first off, we just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for really stepping it up and making Wreath Day in 2020 happen. We know it took a lot of thinking outside the box to find ways to improvise and adapt. We loved hearing and seeing all of your ideas and the pictures of the ceremonies. So thank you so much for sharing all those pictures and videos with us. And if you haven't shared them yet, please make sure you send them to your liaison so that we can pass them on to our social media team. As we jump into 2021, we'd like to touch on a few things that you should be doing and also highlight a few ideas to consider implementing this next year. While we got through the 2020 wreath laying, it's time for a little cleanup now. We're asking for everyone to submit their wreath cleanup plans to us so that we can help you communicate those plans to the community and ensuring the information is on your page. Of course, if you've already had your wreath cleanup, which I know a lot of the more southern states have, that's fine. By now, many of you are probably familiar with the page alerts. The page alerts are the little boxes that pop up whenever someone goes to your page, if you have one set up. Page alerts are really easy to set up and can be set up to run for a certain time frame so that they will automatically expire and be removed after the date you designate. This is great for events like a wreath cleanup that you only want to show for a short period of time because you don't have to remember to go back in and turn it off. To create a page alert, just click on the page alerts, which is located underneath your manage tab in your dashboard. If you want the page alert to show immediately, you will need to backdate the date to the day before to account for the time difference. Also, if you have multiple pages, you can switch which page that you will be posting this to by clicking on the little arrows right here, and you'll see a drop down of all the pages that you are attached to. If you are a location in a group, just make sure that if you're posting it for like a wreath cleanup, you'd want that to be on your location page, not necessarily your sponsorship group page. Also, just a friendly reminder that if you haven't confirmed the delivery of your wreaths from 2020 yet, we need you to do that as soon as possible. It's very important for us to be able to account for all the wreaths that are shipped so that we can track where issues may occur and improve on them. This includes making us aware of extras that you may have received. We won't take those wreaths out of your count, but we still need to know where they went so that we can track problems and make sure they don't happen again in future years. Another important reminder is to make sure that when you when the truck comes to deliver your wreath, that you're counting every single box at delivery. You never want to take more than what's listed on your bill of lading. And if the truck driver comes and you think there's a discrepancy in what you should be receiving and what is on that bill of lading that the truck driver has, you need to contact your liaison immediately. We never want you to take a different number than what's on that bill of lading because that could cause a shortage at another stop that's on that truck. So now let's talk about the new year. You do need to reinstate every year. Your regional liaison will reach out to you through email as soon as it's time to get reinstated for this year. You can expect to see this email within the next month. Right now, we are reviewing and updating our location, coordinator, and group leader policies and procedures to fine-tune a few issues that we've run into and improve the program. Once those new policies are available, we will send them to you and you will be required to sign the new policies prior to reinstating your group and or location this year. We want to make this as easy as we can for you guys, so you won't need to fill out all the new paperwork to reinstate. It'll just be a simple one click of a button and your regional liaison will work with you directly to make sure that everything is set up exactly how you need it for 2021. It's been a long day. All right, so next I want to just take a few minutes to discuss placing orders for very specific requests. And I want to make sure that when you're communicating to your donors, as well as for when you guys send in orders, that the information is correct so that there's no issues. The most important thing to remember when placing an order is to always make sure that your group ID and location ID are attached to the order. For online orders, in order for the donor to support a sponsorship group, the order must be placed through the group Specifics Across America page. This is the only way that the group will get credit for that online order. For mailed in orders, your group ID and location ID must be written on the Wreath sponsorship order form. That way we know where to allocate those wreaths. If the donor does not include these ID numbers with their order, the wreaths would not be applied to your group or location. And while corrections can always be made at the donor's request, it does take time, so that later in the season, if those are being done, in November, early December, there's a chance that those corrections might not be made before shipping. For grave specific orders, if a donor would like a wreath placed on the grave of a specific loved one, their order must be placed online as a grave specific request. They will be prompted to fill out a form for their loved one's name and information, which then pulls into the grave specific report for the location coordinator. This is how we ensure that all grave specific requests are honored each year. If a donor is unable to place the order online, they can call our customer service team to place an order over the phone. Or you can take the donation and then just communicate that grave specific request directly to the location coordinator. But we would not be accepting any grave specifics through the mail. So if you mail those in, it's just, we're going to assume that you already accounted for it. If your group supports multiple locations, your funds should be sent in with a breakdown of how many wreaths to allocate to each location. If a location receives an excess of wreaths sponsorships above their veterans grave count, the location coordinator can choose to have those excess wreaths rolled over to another location or carried over to next year. However, if orders are placed right at the cutoff, we can't guarantee that those wreaths that are supposed to roll over will get credited in time to be shipped, because it's not automatic. It's all done manually. So obviously that kind of takes some time. So best practice is to always just send those funds in allocated to the location that you want them to be placed at. Next, we're going to walk you through how to read your reports and getting wreath counts. There are 3 ways to see your wreath count at any time. There's the Wreathometer on your main Wreaths Across America page, which is live and updates instantly. There's also the research order section in your dashboard, which is also live and updates instantly too. Now, keep in mind that while this update instantly, there may be some delays if we're having a lot of volume towards later in season. If we have a lot of orders coming in and the order has not actually cleared the system yet, they do have to go through the system first before they would go into here. But the most it usually takes is it might be like a 24-hour lag time when we get really busy. The reporting section is also a place where you can get those wreath reports and counts. And this is not live, but it updates nightly, and it's the best way to really view totals, breakdowns, and to download your reports. This is what your wreath count report under the reporting section looks like. For wreaths paid for, this is the number of wreaths that were actually paid for, sponsored through your group or location. The 3 for 2, this is the free wreaths that are applied to your group through the 3 for 2 group plan. And the matching wreaths are any free wreaths that are applied to your group through the matching campaign. The wreath count is this is the combined total count for the wreaths, paid for wreaths, 3 for 2, and matching wreaths. For carryovers and credits, this holds a couple different things. So we have the cutoffs, which are entered as a credit until the money is received and processed. Once the money is received, it would be removed and that credit would go down. And then it would then be listed under the Wreath paid for.
Sorry.
For the carryovers or credits, they would include wreaths that are credited to your location or group from HQ, from contest or corrections that may be made. And carryovers will also show in here. And these are any wreaths that were sponsored in 2020, but were in excess of what was shipped and would be carried over to 2021. And if you have questions about any carryovers or credits, just reach out to your liaison and they can give you a breakdown on that too. Wreaths being processed are any wreaths that are ordered through the mail that have been received at HQ and are in processing. Any orders that were mailed in around or after the cutoff are currently being processed and will be finalized by the end of the month. If you have any questions about those orders, again, just reach out to your regional liaison after the 1st of February if you're still seeing them pending so that they can check on the status for you. And the total wreaths combined is going to be all of your wreaths together. Now, if you have multiple pages, like if you're a location and a group, or you have multiple locations, you want to make sure that you always check this box right here for the specific page that you're looking at the total for. If you do not have it checked, the carryovers and credits will sometimes double up, which will inflate your number, and you're going to think you have more wreaths when you actually don't. I also just want to point out at the bottom of this page, when you're in the reporting section, there's several different tabs where you can really kind of dig down into the reporting a little bit. The detail tab will list all the individual orders with the total wreath amounts, and you can download that into Excel or PDF or whatever format you want. And it's really helpful. And then also the mailed in wreaths being processed, you can click on that tab and it will show you if you have any batches, it will show you like the date and like the amount. So you can kind of look to see if you mailed a batch in and it hasn't been received yet. Next, we'll look at what your reporting looks like under the research orders section. Research orders can be filtered by clicking on the search icon. You can filter by year, you can filter by product type, you can filter by grade specific, by group. There's a lot of different ways that you can filter to quickly find what you're looking for. You can also just leave the filters blank and click search. And with no filters on it, the orders will pull up showing the most recent to oldest order. In the research orders, you can also see the total dollar amount from each sponsor, as well as the wreaths for each sponsorship. And here you can also see you've got the 3 for 2 and the matching wreaths that show as well. In the research order section, you can also message a donor by clicking on the 3 dots that will appear, and they would appear right here in this, the right-hand corner. And I'm sorry, I did not capture that in my image that I took. But when you hover over an order, you'll see those 3 dots appear. And when you click on them, there's a couple different options. One of the options is to send a thank you, which is just a generic thank you note, or you can send a message, which is a little bit more personal, and you can customize those. And you can customize the thank you one as well. Once the message is sent, you will see the message status change to last sent with the date that it was sent. So as you can see here, no one has thanked me for my donation yet. So it has not been sent, but this one here was sent earlier today. And if you, excuse me, if you ever run into issues with any of the reporting, just remember to reach out to your liaison for help. All right, so while 2020 has had its challenges, I'm really excited about some of the things that we learned along the way and are able to take away to improve on for 2021. Virtual fundraising was something that we really promoted in 2020, and it's an excellent tool for connecting with more people within your community and inspiring them to get involved in the mission of Wreath Across America. This is a perfect time to create a QR code, put on a Wreath Across America Day poster to assist you in, with your fundraising efforts for this year. You can reach out to your liaison. We can help you with getting that QR code if you don't have one. We've also discovered a lot of virtual fundraising ideas that can be hosted year-round last year. And we had a few really great webinars last summer that covered those specific topics. You can find the recordings for those webinars on our Wreaths Across America YouTube channel for reference, if you're looking to mix things up a little bit and kind of get you some ideas to get started for this year, while some of us may still be locked down and things are still looking a little iffy. Let's just go ahead and get started doing some of this virtual stuff and get rolling for 2021. We also learned that directing donors to your group website often results in an increased number of veterans wreaths that they'll sponsor because they're prompted to select a certain number. And that was something that we've known for a little bit, but as more people are using the website this past year, because of all the virtual fundraising, we're hearing more location coordinators and group leaders give that feedback that they were seeing that there was, instead of like one wreath sponsored, there was, 2 wreaths sponsored or 5 wreaths sponsored. So get those people to your web pages, really promote them on your social media. And, I think you'll be surprised what will happen. Late in 2020, we released the event registration signups for volunteers, and we quickly discovered that it was a great way to organize and communicate with those interested in helping lay wreaths. We will continue to improve this feature so that it can be used again this coming year. Communication. That was something that was crucial in 2020, and we want to keep up with that in 2021. So making sure that we're communicating regularly with locations, groups, donors, and volunteers. Sorry. A few easy ways to excel at communicating is by adding a page alert to your page, which is a great way to keep your community involved and informed about events that may be coming up. Sharing your Wreath Day plans with your regional liaison as soon as you can so that we can help you update your page and communicate the plan directly to people that may contact us. Regular communication with your cemetery is also critical as well, because as guests of the cemetery, it's imperative that we always follow their guidelines and requests. Zoom calls are another great way to connect with your supporting groups or a network of other location coordinators in your area. If you need help reaching out to any local groups or location coordinators, reach out to your regional liaison and they can help you set that up. Messaging your volunteers and donors through the system is also a nice way to loop in any. Sorry, let me try this again. Messaging your volunteers and donors through the system is also a nice way to close the loop on any questions that they may have and also promote your event.
Can I add one?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd also want to add in here your local media. We saw some really great increases this year in local effort across the board in terms of our local volunteers reaching out to their media. We're going to put a lot more effort into that this year and provide tools for you all to hopefully have monthly things that can be shared on the local level. But it's not too early to reach out to your local media and make contact. It's great to be able to consistently speak with those folks so that come Wreath Day, they'll know who you are, they'll know what the mission is in the community, who's participating and what the impact is, and be more likely to help you reach your goals. So a lot more to come about that as well in terms of communication. It definitely is an all year thing. We want to encourage you to start those conversations now.
Absolutely. So just to finish up, I just want to say, so in 2020, Wreaths Across America expanded to more than 400 new cemeteries, giving us a total of 2,557 participating locations nationwide. And that's with over 5,000 supporting sponsorship groups. With growth, of course, comes some change. And we are very excited to announce that Tiffany Lynch, who some of you may have worked with through the season, will be joining us as a full-time regional liaison. In the next few weeks, We will shift a couple of regions to create a 5th region. And this will allow us to give you a more personalized help, especially when things get busy during season. We will send out an updated region map and email to let you know what region you'll be in. The biggest change with this will be region 1 and 2, as those are our 2 largest regions. And Tiffany, I don't know if you waved, if you're on, if you want to just give everyone a little wave. She said she was having some technical difficulties earlier, so.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay, they're fixed. Okay, hi everyone. I'm excited to start working with everyone.
Awesome. We're glad to have you on board. And I lost my thing here. All right. And that is all I got. So we'll open it up. Amber, if you have anything to add to it. And if not, we can open it up to some questions.
I would just like to ask you, I'm so new to this. I only became involved the last 10 days of the event last year. So like November 20th to November 30th. And so now I'm starting out fresh this year, and you have some special going to January 15th. What is that exactly?
So that's our matching campaign, and it's any sponsorship that's made between December 19th and January 15th. We will match it for you, and that's only on the paid sponsorship rates.
And so I'm a little confused. What's the 3 to 2 and the 1 to 1, or when you're saying matching versus?
So does your group, if you get $5 back, if you sponsor $15, that's going to be 1 wreath through your group. And then Wreaths Across America would match that with 1 wreath through January 15th. If you're a 3 or 2 group, for $15, you're going to get 1.5 wreaths, and Wreaths Across America will.
Oh, you went off.
Yeah.
Now, how do you know if you're a 3 to 2 group or I mean, I'm just on my own, and I got 267 wreaths in 10 days. And now I have a bigger goal, and I'm trying to get some of the people back by the 15th, but I don't know what I am.
So I recommend just give your liaison a call tomorrow, and that's probably going to be the best way so that they can look up your information and see what you're signed up as. If you're not signed up as a group, we definitely want to get you signed up as a group because you want to take advantage of our 3 for 2 grant or $5 back.
I am a group.
Yeah. So just reach out to your liaison tomorrow, and they will be able to take care of that for you.
Okay.
Hey, Julie, this is George Andes from Somerset. Can you hear me?
Hello. Hi, George. How are you?
Good. How are you doing tonight? Hey, I got a question. I know you guys are busy towards the end of the year and the beginning of the year, closing everything out, get everything kicked off. I'm just curious as when we can start seeing the new counts coming up, because I have checks that have been out there for almost 2 months, and I'm just concerned that some of the donors may be calling me, asking me why checks haven't cleared.
Sure. So all the mailed wreaths that are being processed should be in by the end of the month, no later than that. They were actually aiming for the end of next week. I just like to give them a little buffer.
Okay.
So that you should see those coming soon. And then the credits and carryovers should go in probably about mid-February.
Okay, great.
I have the same question as he does. So does that mean that I have not received a check since the 1st for October? So in November, I never received one, or December. So shall I just wait, or shall I call to make sure I will receive a check?
If you haven't received a payback check since then, you need to call your liaison and see. We might be missing an address or something like that, because those have been pretty steady throughout the season.
Okay. I'll call tomorrow. Thank you.
Julie, this is Barbara Gray in Atlanta. Maybe I missed something, but what is the theme for next year or this year?
It has not been announced yet. We will announce it Monday.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
And does the wreath thermometer, whatever, have the correct number of wreaths now?
It's going to show everything that's come through after the pages were switched. There is a kind of a gap between December, like once the wreaths are shipped, December, 6th time frame, whatever, and when the pages were switched over, which was December 20th, I believe. Any wreaths that were in that kind of gap, those will get credited to your account as a carryover. So that section of the wreath reporting where I was showing you where the carryovers would be, that will get put over there because those are not, we don't really have a way, because we have to keep the pages up through Wreathling, so we just have to manually move those over. But anything that came in after that date, it should be updated and showing on your page.
Okay, now is that just the wreath purchased, or is this the matching number that's shown on that wreathometer?
Both are on there.
Okay.
Julie, Craig in Pensacola has his hand raised. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, Julie, I saw a button that said track trucks. Correct me if I'm wrong. Barrancas National Cemetery is one of only 2 closed cemeteries on military bases. Is that correct?
I don't know off the top of my head. We have a couple on military bases.
And we're closed up tighter than a drum most of the time. How accurate is that tracking trucks?
Hey,
I would
this is Trish Hadman.
That's for sure. So the way that the track truck works is it's actually disabled throughout most of the year. And then during season, when they actually update it in the system that the truck has left, okay, it will send an email out, and it would enable that for you to be able to go on and see it. Now, when it says track trucks, that doesn't like tell you, where they're at what, at any given point. What that does is it's just going to tell you, you go and it shows you like if you have 4 trucks coming and how many boxes are on each truck. Okay. That part is accurate. The problem we ran into this past year and with a lot of our stuff with our messaging, they keep muting me. Someone doesn't like me talking. So the issue with the messaging and stuff is a lot of our messages just go to spam folders. So we'll send the messages out, but you guys don't always get them. So we're working on that, and we already have some plans in place to make that a little better this year.
Okay, logistically at Barrancas National Cemetery, because of COVID this year, we were limited to 50 people for the old side and 50 people to the new side to put down 20,000 wreaths. So we had to do it over 4 days instead of 1 day. And they are limiting pickup wreaths to only ID card holders of the military installation.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of across the board. I think a lot of people are seeing similar things.
Yeah.
This is Trish Hadden in Columbus. Can you hear me?
Hi, Trish.
Hey, so I am with an active military base, and he is correct. It is a whole different ball game. But what I suggest is what we had to do, which is get in touch with the military security, get the head of it, and let them know exactly, the truck. We had to give them the truck driver's number and the license plate and all of this. And yet it was still a problem getting him through the gate to come onto the fort, because it is an active fort. And the ID cards are another big issue. But it can be done. We've done it now 2 years. And it's remarkable what JR, the guys that deliver to us, have always been very patient, because they know that they're going to have to go through an extra little check. Even with a big truck that says Raise Across America, Heroes, it is just something that is in place right now.
And make sure when you are, getting reinstated for this year, make sure you communicate with your location coordinators, the restrictions that you guys are under. Because what we try to do is, in cases like that, we might try to work with you guys to make sure we have like the same trucking company that goes every year, because that kind of helps and makes it go a little smoother. We deal with similar issues at like West Point and Annapolis as well, those same things.
Exactly. And as I said, I mean, the group that we've had, it has been the same group. And in fact, the last truck driver had actually been at Fort Benning doing training prior, so he was familiar with it. But it's just extra precaution. And like year before, when they had to close down because of the shooting that had happened in Pensacola, the gates were even more secure. And so even the ROTC kids and all those that we had gotten permission to come through, even if they did not have an ID card, but we had them have the logo for Reads Across America, Fort Benning, that was also nixed. So you just have to go with the flow, but they are helpful and they will let you through. Our particular chief down here was named Matt Dillon. So, you know, with a Matt Dillon on your side, you can't go wrong.
That's right.
Guys, this is Karen Worcester, and I just want to tell you, listening to some of the stuff on the bases and anywhere that you placed Reads this year, not only do we at Reads Across America appreciate all your efforts because we know it was really difficult, but Amber can attest to this, that we have letters coming in every day from military families and veterans and Gold Staff families who are so appreciative of your stick-to-itiveness and determination to see that the mission was carried out, not the least of which today on my desk, thanking all of you, all of us for continuing the mission, was from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, showing his appreciation because it did take an awful lot of effort. Just everybody just stepped up and made it happen. And that's chutzpah, and that's who you guys are, and that's who Reads Across America is. And when you hear the new theme, you'll know where it came from because it fits right in with that.
Absolutely.
I have a question too. For cleanup of the Wreath, our troop wants to participate in the cleaning, removing of the Wreath. Who should I contact for that?
You just need to contact your location coordinator. So the person who oversees the ceremony there at your cemetery, to see what they have as far as plans. And if you're not sure who that is, you can reach out to your liaison and they can direct you to the right person.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Sure.
In regards to the volunteers from last year, will we still have access through the website to email them a thank you? I did not get a chance to do that before December closed out, and I still would like to do that. I went in one day and I guess it was either my computer or something was going wrong and I couldn't get in. So I wasn't sure if that was still going to be accessible to us.
Absolutely. All the information from all the previous years where we've had this website, it's retained in there. So when you go to any of your reporting, you'll see options like in the Wreath reports counts, you'll see where you can pick the different years. In the volunteer reports, it kind of works similar. And then when you go into messaging, it'll say you have the option to do like last year's versus like this year's.
Okay. And can I ask one more question?
Sure.
At some point, could we have some discussion on how we can organize these volunteers? I think this year was a major struggle for me. I don't know if the other location coordinators had the same problem, but we got people who they come in and they just want to do 2 wreaths and leave. And, you know, we had trouble with the weather. We had trouble with COVID. So I mapped everything out to keep everybody in compliance to the state rules in New Jersey. And they didn't pay attention to it. I Zoomed, I had meetings, I had given videos, and I don't know how to fix this because I was so discouraged because like they did whatever they wanted to do. And then there were just a handful of us trying to pick up the pieces, you know, and fix it. Are there any suggestions? I hear some of these cemeteries are huge, and I mean, how do you organize them in sections? Do you just appeal to only a certain group? Do you limit your volunteers? It's my second year, so I'm learning, and I don't want to repeat what I did last time. That I know.
And you know, I think we've got a lot of people, you know, on here that really can share a lot of ideas. If you are on Facebook, we have a location coordinator's Facebook page. That's a great place to go on and kind of ask these questions, because you just get all kinds of people, because it really depends on, you know, as far as like how many volunteers you have, the size of your cemetery, and definitely just express those concerns with your liaison, because they can kind of share those suggestions and ideas with you too. But we can definitely put that on the calendar to maybe do a webinar coming up, you know, over the summer, of kind of some ideas of how to, you know, volunteer management at the events.
Okay, thank you.
Julie, I have one question.
Sure.
So right before the wreaths got to the cemetery out here in California, I think it was an email or something from the delivery company or you guys, and what it said in there, probably better to change the wording, but it says your order has been shipped today. And it was like 2 days before the program of the wreath laying. And I'm like sitting there going, if they just shipped them today, they ain't gonna make it by Saturday. And I'm kind of going, and so then I started calling my cemeteries, and they'd already received the wreaths. And I'm like going, so just the wording needs to get changed.
Yeah.
Not where it says shipped, is a tentative delivery would be better.
Well, and unfortunately, we can't do the tentative delivery because, you know, that's kind of up to the individual trucking companies. But again, one of the things where we continue to learn every year, with those emails, like I said, they went out when it was updated in our system. So there was kind of a delay from some of our cross docks, because they had to let us know that the truck had came and picked up. So then by the time they let us know and we got in and switched it over, you know, for some of them, the cross dock wasn't very far, and so they're already being delivered. But again, we learn, and we've already, you know, have some ideas of how we can make that better for next year.
Yeah, actually, and the other thing too, I was just going to tell you is all my directors for all the cemeteries I have, they told us to make it easier on our guys for especially with the COVID, they'd pick up the wreaths.
Oh,
so
awesome.
They've already been done. But they've done that every year for us. So it's kind of a neat thing. I mean, it would be great to do a program on that day, but I went, you know, just to do the program that we do is enough. There's actually a lot.
Yep, that's awesome. Anyone else have any questions?
Yes, this is Angela in Columbus, Georgia. I do have a question. I've been asked from some people that have already donated and are also going to be doing this year, that they want to next year do the wreath for their father in the front of the grave site and their mother on the back. Is that something that needs to be addressed with the cemetery, or is that a national cemetery rule? How do we do that?
So I would talk to, are you the location coordinator?
I am.
Okay, so yeah, just talk to the cemetery director, and I would see kind of what their preference is on that. I know a lot of the national cemeteries and, you know, state veteran cemeteries, they will just do, you know, the one side, unless they, you know, happen to cover all the graves there, and then they could do the backs too. But most typically just do the front.
And I had another question. Do we know if we're going to have that 4 for 5 come back again? That's ending up on the 15th of this month.
The matching campaign. We do not have anything scheduled as of now.
Okay.
But I'm sure we'll do something, you know, at least next year, if not this year.
Angela, one more question, and I'm done. One more question. Okay. I want to know, as being a new widow, is there any way, or who do I need to contact, or how does the process done to get Wreath Across America put into the brochure that we receive upon burial of our loved ones? They're not in there. Wreath Across America is not in there when it talks about the flowers or any of that. And as I found from being at the cemetery, a lot of new members that have lost loved ones are unaware of what Wreath America is all about.
Julie, can I address that?
Huh? Sorry.
I'm sorry. This is Misha Richardson at Sarasota, and I can help answer that question if Julie doesn't mind.
Sure, go for it.
I'm a widow as well, and I have been for 6 years, and I didn't know about Wreaths Across America either until my first year, December of 2015. I actually, when I became involved, I asked our cemetery director if it was possible to place the brochures at the cemetery, and it is a national cemetery. And I was told no by that director as well as our new director, because you cannot do anything to promote fundraising on the grounds of a federal property. So what I did was contact our local funeral directors. And I've given them the information, because all of us will have to meet with a funeral director at some point in time at a loss. And I was amazed at the number of them that will either put a brochure or my business card in with the information for their families for their future use. And that has been very helpful.
Okay.
And in our national cemetery, we do put the flyer out, but there is no mention of any kind of fundraising. It just says go to this site to find out about Wreaths Across America. But it is totally up to your director. All directors are not the same, so it is definitely up to your director. So ask the director if you can do something like that, and the funeral homes is the best way, really.
Okay, thank you. That's great. I appreciate it.
And Angela, this is Trish Haddon again, in Columbus, Georgia. Are you talking about the cemetery at Fort Benning or the one at Fort Mitchell?
Fort Mitchell.
Yeah, because that is a very large one. But if you give me a call, or I'll send you my phone number. Let's talk about this together, because Fort Benning, you know, Fort Mitchell is the back gate of Fort Benning. So
right.
Yeah,
right.
But different regulations. But I'll be happy to help.
Okay, thank you.
Misha, you can go ahead. You had your hand up if you want.
Yep, I did. I love that we all worked so hard this year, and I know that everybody had all kinds of different plans, and our regional liaison, Trish, thank God for Trish. I know she wanted to choke me at times, but I want to say thank you, huge thanks and kudos to her for helping me with a very challenging year. With that being said, our year is going to, for 2021, is going to somewhat simulate 2020. And I am preparing for that already, not necessarily because of COVID, but because of our lack of parking. We can't have 3,000 people on the grounds at one given time, which is our normal turnout, if not more. So imagine my shock and awe when I'm getting ready to thank our participants that volunteered, to find that the screen is gone and I can't find it at all. But I'm seeing that people are already signing up for December 18th of this year at noon for volunteering to place wreaths. And I'm begging you guys to consider putting some kind of a toggle switch on this, because I don't want people signing up and thinking all year long this is what they're going to do, and then it gets changed, because we have not set our plan into concrete as of yet, but it's going to be at least a 2-day process again this year. So we spanned 3 days in 2020. We're going to probably, in all likelihood, span wreath laying over 2 days. So could you consider that for me, please? Because I'm looking and I've got 13 people signed up already for December.
So we actually kind of discussed that today a little bit, because we've had other people question it as well. Right now, we have kind of had to change the messaging when they volunteer to mimic cleanup day. As soon as cleanup day is done for everyone, we can change that to a more, because it is across the board
Yeah.
The way that the templates read. So it's universal. We can't, you know, change it for one location versus another. And, you know, having a toggle switch would be, you know, great. But unfortunately, in the system that we have now, that's just not something that we can do. We do have a lot of new website changes and updates, you know, coming up very soon. In the next couple months, you guys will hear more about that, and we'll share some stuff that's going to be happening there. So we do hear you guys. We hear your concerns. We will not leave you hanging. We could definitely have some ideas for things that we can do with that. And what we'll do is a lot like we did this past year, when we had to change things over for COVID modifications, we messaged all the people who had already volunteered and said, hey, you know, this is what's going on. You know, you're gonna need to check back. So we will help you guys do that and send lots of stuff out. So it won't be just you guys managing those because yes, there's lots of people very eager to get started. We didn't expect them to jump on it so soon, but there they are. So
you know what that tells me? It says we did a good job.
Yeah. And we can help you. We can help you with a template too, Misha. We actually, Julie and I literally had this conversation today because I was trying to mess with Arlington's page and couldn't. So basically it's a universal, but we can certainly help you with messaging and we can communicate with those people. I mean, you still have because they signed up, we can email them through the system, whether it's quarterly or whatever, until we have a solution here. But we do hear you working through a lot of web changes that need to happen over the next few months. So from a priority standpoint, the volunteer piece is important, certainly, for us too.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you. I must say, and I'm not real techie, but there were a lot of changes in October and November and December, particularly, and November. And every time I turned around, there was something changed, and I was calling Trish, going, why can't I do this? Or I'm not seeing this. But then it seemed like half the time I could figure it out too. So I see great kudos to you guys, because this is a major undertaking on your behalf, and it's certainly come a long way in the 4 years I've been in. Well, let's see, five, something like that. I don't know, 2016. So yeah, year 5. So thank you all.
Thank you, Misha. Thank you. Mark Haley's had his hand up for a while. Julie, Mark, go ahead, and there you are.
I just have one question. I have a smaller cemetery in my town, and it's not an all military, it's public and military. And it has about 1,500 in that cemetery. And I was wondering, does anybody on this or Wreaths Across America know any way of a mapping program? Since not every single grave is one, we need specific ones. And it takes a while to go around and find them. That's what we did in the past 2 years, but we're going to try to come up with getting a map. We have a list of everybody, but it would be great to have like an aerial map or something. And I didn't know if anybody knew programs or anything like that, or if that's not something you guys do, or just shooting that out there. That's all.
Hey, Mark, this is George Ames from Somerset. We had the same issue here 4 years ago, and it's taken us 4 years we have 4 cemeteries here, similar where they're private cemeteries or town cemeteries where they have both private and military members. We have a gentleman that uses FileMaker Pro, and he's built a database and he maps them out. And we have it's nothing fancy, but we have it mapped out to show each grave in each section, and then he flags it with a flag. And what we do in about a month before Wreath Day is we go out with little utility flags, use those maps, and place the utility flag so our volunteers know where to place the wreath on Wreath Day.
Julie, if I can, it's Doug. We program called Easy GPS, and then I keep a spreadsheet of all the military members, and I just give them a point address. And within 10 feet, I can walk you in almost 1,700 graves in 7 cemeteries. I can walk you within 10 feet of any headstone at any point in time. And it's real simple. And the GPS was $90.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, guys. So yeah, lots of great ideas, and I think that's another great topic for us to have in one of the upcoming webinars, and we can put together a template for you guys with some different sites and stuff, some different ways different people do it. Gino, I see you got your hand raised.
There we go. I finally found the mute button. On the initial order page, when the white screen comes up, when you go through a sponsorship group, and it gives you the option of 1, 3, 5, 10, and custom amount of wreaths, is there a way to put in a line for a custom amount of money, dollar amount?
Coming soon. We do not have it on the website that's currently set up, but that is one of the changes that we are looking at making, and it's something that we've all been begging for a little bit too. So we got you.
Okay, thank you much.
You're welcome. All right, anybody else before we call tonight?
Julie, this is Michelle from Baltimore National Cemetery. I just wanted to let you know, we had an issue with the grave specific where individuals ordered the memory or in honor of, thinking that it was grave specific. And so when they showed up to place that grave specific and we didn't have one, that didn't go over very well. So I don't know if there's a way that we can tie in those two options to grave specific, or how we fix that issue.
Yep. And so that's actually something, I feel like I'm just going to keep saying coming soon.
Okay.
But for real, these are all issues that, we've heard you guys talking about for a little while, and we've heard you, and we are acting on that. And we have some really exciting things coming up that will address all of these concerns, specifically that.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And I'll add too, just so you know, Michelle, that is a very, don't feel bad. It's a common issue. I think our customer service manager, Logan, was on here earlier, and I think that's one of the #1 things that we actually get in customer service in terms of feedback. So it is definitely a high priority for us to clarify that for people moving forward.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I've got one thing for you. If the cemeteries have a director, normally they have a log of all the graves that are in the cemetery.
Not if it's a local cemetery. That I think in this case, Patrick, Mark's talking about a local community cemetery that's not necessarily run by, a lot of these smaller cemeteries don't necessarily have that. But you're right, on the state national cemetery.
No, I have actually all the cemeteries I have, they're all privately owned. There's none. That was one of the reasons we got to do the program, because if they would have been state or federal, they locked down Los Angeles and they locked down a couple other places. But each of the places has a director, and those guys know where all the graves are.
Right. So, there are a lot of cemeteries though that don't. The one I personally do here locally, there's no one. The person who owned it was family owned. They've gone on, and no one maintains it. So, but I think we'll put together some stuff to help with those situations.
I have a question to ask you, Julie, on that one. How do you get to lay wreaths there if you can't have anybody sign and place it, put an order into it?
I just place them. I communicated with the town. I did communicate with the town, made sure that it was.
I'm going to turn on my video and go like this. They told me I couldn't do that. Because I have about 3 other cemeteries.
We made sure that we were okay, but I think that's, there's, like locally here, I drive by my house and there's like one, like a grave, like in the middle of the woods, like randomly in the woods. I
know.
I'll go place it there and I'll take it up. And if someone tells me to stop, then I'll stop.
There's a bunch of them where I'm at. You drive by them and there's nobody that takes care of it. It's just the American Legion post I belong to. We go out and we help the guys that are the sons of the Civil War veterans, the German General Sherman camp in Santa Barbara. And they actually go out and clean up the cemeteries. So we help those guys and they help us. So it's a good deal. We do it.
Yeah, that's great. We appreciate that. Everyone does.
I want to thank you guys for doing such a great job. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you.
Something I wanted to add in here too, and going back just a little bit to the gentleman who was talking about mapping his cemetery and so forth. Over the summer, one of our biggest stories, which kind of caught on with the media and actually made it state to state to state. It didn't remain just a local story. Was one, and you'll have to forgive me, my memory fails me sometimes, but I think it was in Ohio that they were mapping the cemetery using a drone. And the story of the drone was what really caught on with media, because it was technology being used in a new way. And whenever you're endeavoring in a project like that, whether you're using GPS or drone or whatnot, just keep in mind too that as you're going through these projects, to make sure to let the media know. And the reason being is not to say, hey, look what I'm doing, but you never know when there may be that person in the community who's a community historian and just happens, by happenstance to know everything there is to know about that area. And just by getting that story out in the media, folks may be able to latch on to that, or even a group of folks may be able to latch on to that, help you out, and in doing so, build new relationships for your group.
Well, Sean, I'd like to touch base with you at some point, because for the last 3 years, we've been struggling trying to get our local TV stations in Rhode Island and Massachusetts to at least come out to our ceremony, just to tape it. And we've struggled with how to communicate with them to get them out.
That's what I'm here for. Feel free to give me a telephone call.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, well, I'm going to, it's 9 o'clock, so I'm going to shut it down so we can all call tonight and get on with our evening. And if you guys need anything, just reach out to your liaison at any time, and we're happy to help. And thank you all for joining.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, you, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, Julie. Great job.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Great work this year.